Good morning and welcome to the Demolition News Business Briefing. I'm your host, Mark Anthony, as ever, and as you can see to my side there is Neil Edwards, CEO of the Builders Conference, the man with his finger on the pulse of the UK construction sector. So Neil, last time you and I were sat in this in our weird little boxes here, we just come off the back of the UK construction industry posting ridiculous figures of 12 billion, obviously fueled by more HS2 work. Nobody was expecting that to continue, but have we gone back to some sense of normality, or is there still some positivity in the air?
No, there's some positivity still in the air. We normally take kind of the benchmark around the 4 or 5 billion stage. This month it's over 6 billion. Overall it's 6.2 billion with 550 projects we've got detailed and over 310 companies associated with those projects. So yeah, another good month.
It's a really strange thing to say, isn't it? Under normal circumstances, 6 billion would be worth getting the party poppers out and having the dancing girls on the screen. But straight off the back of a 12 billion, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but it just doesn't feel quite the same, does it?
No, it doesn't. And what happens generally, but to be fair, in January, a lot of projects get started because they get held over from the previous year, because we didn't have so much of that this year, because obviously there wasn't the slowdown for Christmas, and there wasn't obviously the party time, shall we say, or the wind down. But yeah, this year it's 6 billion. Look, if you look at 2019, which was obviously pre-pandemic, that was 7.8 billion in January last time. So yeah, it's down on those figures, but it's still a significant amount. But when you consider December and November were still very good figures, you can see probably why this month is actually at that level rather than the 7 or 8 billions where traditionally they have been sort of like those levels, should we say.
Now, obviously, last month was very much queered by all things HS2 and those big projects. I assume we've not got more of that. So where is the 6.2 billion coming from?
Well, which is, as I said, there's over 550 projects this month that we've actually researched here at the Builders Conference. So it is spread. Last month it was just over 300. So you can see that there is a lot more projects out there. And this month, it's actually still in infrastructure, but in a different kind of part of infrastructure. It's in roads. There's been quite a number of road projects that have been given the green light. And so this is kind of government working to its script. What it was said it was going to do is going to invest in infrastructure across the UK. And so mainly it is an infrastructure, but the Headline Act, it isn't £1 billion project, but the Headline Act is a project over in East London. And that's for a new housing stroke redevelopment stroke regeneration of a whole estate near Poplar, should I say, not Popular, Poplar.
One of the real high points of the East End of London. So who won that one? I was going to say, if ever there was a place that needed regeneration, Poplar would be fairly close to the top of the list. So who's won the big one there?
Absolutely, and that's actually been won by Hill Partnerships. So they topped the BC Live table this month. And I'll read it from the top. It says the delivery of a regeneration scheme to build approximately 2,500 homes at the, I think it's Teviot estate. I don't know this, with an estimated value of £940 million. And obviously that's not going to be all at once. It's going to be a programme of work. So I should think over 4 or 5 years, but it is going to be a significant regeneration of that area. Now, following that up, like I said, number 2 on our list is Morgan Sindall. This month, they've not only come second, they've also topped the number of projects this month. They've taken that accolade away from Kier Group, and they've picked up 23 new projects with an overall combined total of something like £507 million on the BC Live list. And the largest one of those projects is in infrastructure in the road sector. It's the M40, M42 interchange, junctions 3 and 4. And It's a it's via Highways England's collaborative delivery framework, improving the M40 and the M42 motorways. So that is a huge job. That's worth about £312 million.
I know when you said infrastructure and roads, I was rather hoping they were going to do a quadruple widening of the M20 to accommodate the stuck Brexit traffic, but apparently that may still be in planning. I'm not entirely sure.
I think they're putting a few car parks down there near Ashford, aren't they? They're putting massive car parks down there, but they haven't quite thought about widening it yet. No. Number 3 on the list is Kia. So that's Sue Morgan Sindel pipped this month to the number of projects, but they picked up 18 projects this month with an overall total of something like £311 million. And the largest one of those, which they picked up, is a £200 million, but it's a framework as well. It's for road tunnels and pumping station maintenance contract. It's for TfL. And it's worth about 200 million over 8 years. So it's not all in once, but it's been signed for them. There's Rotherhithe, there's Blackwall, there's all the tunnels you can think of around which are managed by TfL. Yeah, and Kia Highways have picked that project up this month. Number 4 on the list is breaking up the infrastructure, but I'll come back to that. But he's breaking up the infrastructure. Is Redrow Homes. So we're back to the housing side of things, but we need the infrastructure and the housing to come along together. And that's Redrow have picked up a £60 million project, the largest of theirs, and that's in Cheltenham, in Gloucestershire. So that's mix of 3, 4, and 5 bedroom homes. Number 5 on the list, we're back to infrastructure, and this time it's picked up by Costain Civil Engineering. It's a £250 million project, which is a significant size one. It's the A1 Birtley to Coalhouse Gateshead improvement scheme. It's about 6.5 kilometres of new road widening scheme, and it's junction 65 to 67 of the A1. So yes,
it'll be an interesting one to watch the equipment use on that one, because Birtley is where the excavators are made by Komatsu in the UK. So I'm sure that they will be hoping there'll be a fair fleet of Komatsu excavators going into that one.
Well, and I should think there'll be a little bit of other businesses trying to put their logos of signs on their excavators right next to that plant.
That's right.
There'll be a little bit of one-upmanship there. And finally, I want to talk about is 6 on the list is Waits. They picked up 4 projects this month, overall total of something like just over £210 million. But the largest of theirs is is a new build and science building at the site of, now another word, I think it's Tingbergen Building, which is in Oxford. And that's a £200 million project, and the client is the University of Oxford. So we've already got the Oxford vaccine, obviously, which is part of our great move forward to get us out of this pandemic. So Oxford are very much a world leader in research and technology, and they're obviously extending their facilities up there in Oxford itself. So good news.
All good news.
Yeah, it is all good news.
You've mentioned London and the South East quite a bit. Can I assume that part of the country is leading the way again? Only just
this month. Well, only just compared to other figures, like it's not. Yes, it's because of that £940 million job in East London. This month it's £1.8 billion. It isn't the usual big chunk, like 2-3 billion or whatever, but it's 1.8 billion. But also, what is of significance is the Midlands region this month, and they're at 996 million, so it's just below the £1 billion. But that's a huge sum of money being invested in those sort of areas. And thirdly is the Northwest, and that's 725 million pounds worth of work. I always mention Scotland. It's not such a good month for Scotland this month. It's down to 152 million. So that's going backwards rather than forwards compared to last month. But other regions of note to talk about is obviously the Southwest. They got 320 million pounds worth of work. And if you add obviously up the home counties, that also comes up to nearly £450 million worth of work this month.
Now, obviously, the top of the heap was infrastructure, but there's a fair old chunk of housing in there. Did housing hold its crown, or did it get pipped?
No, housing definitely held its crown this month. Yeah, it came out with something like £2.8 billion worth of work this month. So another huge investment there. Yes, roads, footpath. We kind of subcategorized it. Roads, footpaths, and cycleways this month is 962 million. Whereas railways is not too much this month. It's compared to last month. It's only 53 million pounds. So it literally is like after the Lord's Mayor's show on that one. But what also is good news is education sector, and that's something way up in the 823 million pound mark. So
it seems ironic. The education seems like ironic timing, given the fact that most of the kids are stuck at home at the moment.
Exactly. But what we're also seeing is a huge push towards warehouses and industrial side of things. We are seeing a number of bids and a number of under considerations going through the process at the moment. So the logistics part of the world for big factories or big hubs is definitely being pushed as well. And I can only see that maintaining, if not growing, in 2021.
One of the questions I wanted to ask specifically, and we've already mentioned, I think, one framework agreement this month. There was a big framework let to, I think it was 16 or 17 demolition companies last month. The actual makeup and the potential benefit of a framework agreement. Obviously, you, as I mentioned at the outset, you keep your eye very much on or your finger very much on the pulse of the industry. Are framework agreements actually worthwhile? Because there does seem to be a huge amount of work that goes into getting you on the framework in the first place. And even when you've done that and you've committed the resources, financial and human, there's still no guarantee that you're going to get the work. And if you are, that you're going to get the work in any sort of timely fashion.
You're dead right. And that's the big thing. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You really should do with these frameworks. You should really be there. So at least your name is at the front of the queue. But those 16 or 17 demolition contractors will be sitting there waiting for the drip of projects coming through. And what sometimes happens is they will still have to, then they'll be subdivided into 4 or 3, 4, 5 of those companies to bid for the smaller section. So all you're doing is getting on an approved list. That's all it is. A framework is an approved list. And it can take up to, as you say, 2, 3, 4 years before those projects come through. So the way our system works, the way the Builders Conference works, we put on our information profile that there is a framework out, but we don't award anything. And as each project is awarded on that framework, so we link it up to it, the framework value comes down, but then obviously the contract award value goes up because they're actual real jobs. So you're not actually double accounted because that would actually mean you'd get a skew in the actual the figures. So you wouldn't have a correct figure. You'd have a £1 billion framework, and then you'd have £1 billion worth of work. And that's £2 billion when there's only really £1 billion worth of work in the marketplace. So you could be caught out there if you're not careful.
It's strange. I mean, I appreciate your explanation that it's an approved list and that kind of thing. But is that not where we are with PQQs and pre-qualification and all that? It seems like a pre-qualification for a pre-qualification. It seems like an awful lot of work, potentially for, as I say, no guarantee of return.
It is exactly. It is. It's a pre-qualification and then an approval system afterwards to show that you can do those sort of projects. I think what we need to understand is that technology, the digital side of things, hasn't yet been fully embraced by an industry, whether it be the professionals or the contractors or the subcontractors, because this information should really be on file somewhere, digitally held or whatever, and therefore not have to be reinvented every single time when there's a framework coming out. It used to be when I was working on the other side, shall we say, it used to be the biggest pain for all of us to do our pre-quals, PQQs for a number of people, but also get accredited by a number of accreditation schemes. And then when a job came out, sometimes you had to go to an interview as well before you'd even got the actual tender. And you think to yourself, how many jumps, how many hurdles do we have to go through? So it can be a nightmare in administratively wise, but if you don't do it, you're not going to get there. So you've got to do it. It's got to be part and parcel of the business.
Yeah, I think one of the things that strikes me as interesting, I know this is part of the Builders Conference ethos, is this increasing efficiency. Those, as you rightly say, those systems do exist. Builders Profile and a whole host of others. I'm not entirely sure I understand what the benefit is to the contractors that are listed on there. I'm not even convinced there's a huge advantage to those companies or those organisations that are putting the framework in the first place. It just seems to be a double handling at a time when we can ill afford double handling.
I think it's a case, if you want my opinion, is the fact that it's because we've done it like that always. We just keep doing it like that. There is no invention going. We've done that for the last 50 years. We're going to do it for the next X amount of years. Yeah, you're right. Companies need to be masters of their own data and information, as in governance in any way, if they want to be checked out and whatever. So to have as Builders Profile does it for the subcontractors, you just keep your profile up to date, like you would do on your LinkedIn, like you would do on any kind of social media thing, and you keep it up to date. So the basis of the information is there, so somebody else can look at it without fear or whatever. Just look at it and say, okay, they've got a professional indemnity insurance up to 5 million. That's what we need on this particular project. Their health and safety records are good, and all their other documents are in place. I'll at least call them and chat with them. So it cuts out that pre-qualification set of information. It's we need change, and digitally the construction industry is a little bit behind the times. When we're actually striving, we think we're very good. When we're striving for analytical information, we haven't really got that at our fingertips sometimes.
Obviously, it's the end of it's the beginning of the second month, but it's the end of the first month of the year. What do you have in mind for 2021? I mean, obviously, we've come off the back of a very good month in December. We've got another good month in January. Is that going to carry on?
Anecdotally, we hear there are some issues out there at the present moment in time. If we keep carrying on at these numbers, I can only but see good news, shall we say. But what we are hearing is the issue, and I think you did talk about it, is the issues with Brexit. The amount of materials that are a little bit delayed, and what I mean by a little bit, it might only be by a week. But when you actually aggregate that across many different sites across the UK, it does cause an issue. So we are seeing some problems there. And I noticed in the press today that there is a lack of confidence in SMEs, saying that probably, I think I saw the figure of 1 in 8 will not be around in 3 months' time. Which is 12% of the work, 12% of the number of contractors out there. Which, if you take 2,000 or whatever, that's over 25 or whatever companies that are not going to be about, if not more. Sorry, yeah, it's more than that. It's 200, isn't it? 200 companies are not going to be about or more. So I really want to see what happens by the end of March, really. I think it's too early to make any quick snap decisions now. When we finish the furlough scheme, as it's now come out, I think it's now till March, I think now that'll be the time we will understand our future within construction. But if the government is committed to what it keeps saying about it's going to invest in infrastructure, and I know there's also talking about a tunnel under the Thames, another project there. That could be a part of bringing us out of recession as the UK, in the construction sector. But it's all if buts at the moment, isn't it? There is no firm evidence, and it's the same with us. We see that tender numbers are decreasing over the last 4 or 5 months. Now, we don't know whether that's because lack of investment or lack of people because they're not very well, or they're off isolating or whatever. There is no data to it. There is nothing to it, but we are seeing a drop in the number of tenders. And I know that a lot of businesses are looking at their business plans, which they may have done 4 years, 3 years, whatever, to realign themselves in 2021 and then start again in 2022.
It was interesting you mentioned Brexit and the supply of materials, because to a large degree we've largely perfected the concept of just-in-time deliveries, haven't we? And all of a sudden, that's just-in-time might not just be just-in-time. We need to take a bit of a step back and look very closely at that, don't we?
We do. And I don't know whether the introduction of these big warehouses that we're seeing, which are going to be like central hubs for certain things. There's lots of ways I understand you can get over this. And one of the ways of doing it is setting up a regional office or a hub office over in Europe somewhere. But why do we have to get over something? Why can't we just do something different? That's just short-circuiting the actual the problem. We need a real solution at the end of the day. And yeah, we are a perfectionist at just in time, and that could especially with a lot of the housing projects that we're doing, which is obviously significantly uses products from Europe and Sweden and places like that. I don't know whether it's just going to be Brexit. I also think it's going to be the pandemic. People are closing some of their borders, and that's just going to cause us more issues as we go along. So I think it's going to be both of those things that are going to actually affect us going forward.
I always give you an opportunity to plug the Builders Conference services, but I think now more than ever, despite the fact that we've come off the back of 2 very good months, that ability to put your finger on the pulse and find out the way the wind's blowing. I'm mixing my metaphors a little there, but that ability to actually see exactly what is going on is going to be vitally important. So where do people find out more?
Well, you can go to our website, which is buildersconference.co.uk, and you can press the link there to ask for an online demonstration, or you can call us. We're still working remotely, but all telephones are coming through to us, which is 0208 770 0111. And as I say, as Mark says, the information that we give is validated. What we're very, very fortunate at is that we've got a very good set of researchers that have got fantastic relationships with a lot of businesses across the UK, which we discuss things, and we can even talk about the football over the weekend, which is not normally a good idea if you're a Palace fan, but
or a West Ham fan,
or a West Ham. But yeah, we speak to all those people, and the information, as soon as we get it and it's validated, it goes live. It's there for you to see, and you can follow it up. And the system itself is digitally advanced, so you can actually use it as your own CRM tool. It's got its own calendar system in it, which can give you up messages to say you need to phone up XYZ, or you can just link with certain projects, and then you get automatic updates on that. It's a hugely advanced platform, and also one of the benefits, which is not out there anywhere else, is the fact that each subcontractor or supplier or main contractor can send us its photographs of the site, and just like you do on LinkedIn and everything else, and we can highlight them on the site, so that it can show you the site. You can show you what your business does. If we are hoping to put videos up there shortly, so it's there for the actual construction industry, but at the same time, it gives you absolutely valuable construction information on projects and sales leads.
I think that's an interesting point, actually. Obviously, Builders Conference is a trade association, and I think we're in an age now where trade associations need to deliver more and more value, and that level of information, and also providing members the ability to showcase their products and services and their capabilities. That is delivering that more value, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's all part of the service. It's all part free of the service, because we actually, like you said, we're a trade body, so therefore we work for you, And so we are a not-for-profit. All investments are reinvested, and make sure that we can actually provide something better for you. And we're trying to promote your services or the people's services. So if there is a new huge job you're doing, or whether it be demolition, whatever, and there's a new machine on the site, fine, send us that, we'll put it on there, and we'll link it to the site, and you'll see it straight away.
It sounds like I'm missing a trick there. I need to send you some of our photographs. In absolute truth, I've not been out of the office for several weeks. So yeah. When I get back to work, I'll keep you informed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we do understand it, but yeah, that's one of the things we try to do, is to make it like a LinkedIn, because that's obviously very successful. But you see lots of stuff on LinkedIn, whereas this is just a construction-based website. So yeah, it's if there is as I say, removing of a gasworks, which is obviously quite a unique type of project, the machinery there, we put that up there, and as I say, we can link to videos if they're on YouTube and things like that, but we haven't got the facility as of yet to have our own video streaming on the website as well. But that's an enhancement we're looking at trying to do.
The interesting thing from that point of view, I often point out used to do it to the children, probably do it more to the grandchildren now. There used to be a safer centre there. Now that's been flattened and it's now houses, or possibly vice versa. Your system actually has that capability. You can literally chart it from, here was a building, then it was gone, now it's something else, and almost like an extension of BIM, but purely factually based, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We can have the before, during, and after, and then it can go on from there, because obviously from cradle to the grave and beyond, that's what we're talking about. It's the system itself is hugely. It can grow as much as it wants. It hasn't had any boundaries as of yet. What we did when we actually originally set the process out was to say, right, that's our vision, but we need it to be bigger and bigger and bigger, so we don't have any kind of boundaries to stop us going anywhere. And that's what we've done. It's been built like that.
That's fantastic. Neil, I know you've got better. You're clearly not dressed like that to sit here and talk to me. So I'm sure you've got bigger and better things to be doing.
I thought I'd be smart today.
Yeah, and I didn't get the memo. So what can I tell you? It's been a pleasure as always. I will get this up and out onto our YouTube channel. It's already been on Facebook and on Twitter as well this time, which is a bit of a first. So thanks a lot for all your input and your information. I hope lots of people pick up the phone and give you a call and sign up, because as I said previously, we are going to need our finger on the pulse, probably even more than ever. So Neil, once again, all the very best.
And you. Speak to you soon.
And I've just pressed the wrong button, which leaves Neil in here and just me on the screen. Right, I'm going to sign off because I've got to get back onto doing something else. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope that information was worthwhile. It will be up on YouTube in the next half an hour or so, should you need to go back and check any of Neil's facts. But easier way to check his facts, go to bclive.co.uk. The facts are all there. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Have a great month. Have a great week. I'll see you all again very, very soon. All the best.